Welcome, everyone, to the 2021 Association for a Better New York Gala. My name is Benny Benak III. This is the Jazz Quartet. Everybody grab a seat, grab a drink, and sit back and relax. We're going to play some music to get things started for you. Tall and tan and young and lovely, the girl from Ipanema goes walking, and when she passes, each one she passes goes ah. When she moves, she sways so gentle, so cool, just like a breezy samba, that when she passes, each one she passes goes ah. Oh, how I love her so madly. How can I tell her I love her? Yes, and I love her so badly. But each day when she walks by the sea, she looks straight ahead, not at me. Oh, how I love her so madly. How can I tell her I love her? Yes, and I love her so badly. But each day when she walks by the sea, she looks straight ahead, not at me. Tall and tan and young and lovely, the girl from Ipanema goes walking, and when she passes, it's me she just doesn't see. Whoa, she just doesn't see. It's me she doesn't see. She just doesn't see me. Whoa.
I am so proud to represent the City University of New York on the Abny board. Proud that over these decades, Cuny and its colleges throughout the 5 boroughs have actively contributed to Abny programs and projects that have helped to make the city a much better place. Our collaboration has never been more important than now, as all of us in New York work together on a road to recovery that will be challenging on so many fronts. Cuny and Abny are aligned in their missions. In advancing opportunity for all New Yorkers, we're making a broad commitment to the life and future of the city. Whether it's fostering workforce development, advancing tech, promoting social justice, or getting New Yorkers to vax up, Abny helps us drive forward. Thank you for your leadership and congratulations on the first 50 years. Muchas felicidades a Abny en sus 50 años de aniversario.
50 years ago, Abny's story began with a group of committed New Yorkers setting out to address challenges faced by residents, workers, and communities of our city. Today, that tradition continues, and Abny has become a venerable New York institution. And more than ever, as New Yorkers battle the ongoing health crisis, mourn those who have died, and carry on with the daily task of restarting our great city, Abny's membership is called on yet again to help New York not just recover, but recover equitably. Happy 50th anniversary, Abny. May you continue to support our city and ensure that it is the type of place that everyone, regardless of where their life story began, can call home.
Welcome, everyone, to the 2021 Spirit of Abny Awards. I'm Stephen Rubinstein, Chairman of Abny, and I'm excited to welcome you tonight. The Spirit of Abny is an annual event, a time for us to recognize the vision and leadership of great New Yorkers. But tonight, it is also a time to look back on all we've achieved together, all we've lived through together in a year unlike any other. Think back to last winter. None of us were vaccinated. The vast majority of our kids were still learning on Zoom. Nobody was able to travel for the holidays, and it felt bleak. And here we are today. Our kids are in school and finally getting vaccinated. Broadway's open. People are eating inside of restaurants. More and more people are returning to Midtown and to the office, a trend I believe will grow in the year ahead. And while we still have so many challenges in this ever-changing pandemic, we are on the path together. And being together, working together, is an anchor of our Abny community. For the first time in 21 months, many of us got to see each other in person as the return of our Abny Power Breakfasts. We recently hosted Governor Kathy Hochul as well as Attorney General Tish James, and we have more coming up in the months ahead. I am thankful for this moment, and I'm thankful that our political leaders are again talking about the value of bringing people together, of working together, of seeking to solve problems together, uniting us for the sake of our city. I'm so thankful for our great Abney community. In our community spirit of cooperation, Abney and our foundation have worked hard during this complicated time. We conducted groundbreaking research on vaccine hesitancy to help convince our fellow New Yorkers to get the shot. We supported community and civic organizations helping the city get through the pandemic with micro grants to ensure they could continue to innovate on issues including affordable housing and public safety. We moved the foundation's money to community banks that serve communities of color and local businesses like Carver and Abacus, increasing their ability to make loans to small businesses who were struggling. We came out in full force in our first in-person event of 2021 to dine and shop in Chinatown, bringing the media and mayoral candidates in tow so we could show our solidarity with our Asian American neighbors. And of course, the census. Thanks for the amazing work of Melva and the coalition we built around Abney over the past few years. We helped count 600,000 more New Yorkers, practically the size of Boston, and secure billions more in federal aid that will make us a safer, healthier, and stronger city. That leadership, collaboration, and action is what Abney is all about. It is the DNA of this organization, and that's what we celebrate here tonight. Thank you all so much for being part of it.
Thank you, Stephen. Good evening, Abney members, friends, special guests, public servants, and of course, our amazing honorees. It is my privilege and pleasure to recognize so many individuals who have helped to shape Abney over the past 50 years as a part of tonight's celebration. The women who have come before me have blazed a trail for civic-minded New Yorkers to step up and participate in the discourse that helps our city thrive. It was Mary Holloway, who alongside our first chairman, Lou Ruden, who tirelessly advocated for the betterment of our city. And Mary herself stands as our longest-serving executive director, leading the way from 1976 through 2001. And when Michelle Adams was tapped in 2002 to be the executive director at a pivotal time for New York City and for this organization, she rose to the challenge. Together with Bill Ruden, in the wake of the tragedy of 9/11 and the loss of one of New York's champions, Lou Ruden, Michelle helped New York City get back on its feet in a big way. Jen Hensley answered the call to serve in 2010 and brought a fresh lens to the leadership role. She saw the importance of diversifying the city's economy, recognizing the importance of the tech ecosystem, and pushed Abney forward and toward the next generation of civic leaders in establishing the Abney Young Professional Network. Taking the helm in 2015, Angela Pinsky oversaw the changing of the guard here at Abney, transitioning the chair's role from Bill Ruden to Stephen Rubinstein. And just as this great organization fosters collaboration and partnership, Angela worked with Samantha Ruden-Earls to establish the Abney Women Network and oversaw the campaigns to repeal the federal SALT cap and promote the vote, and helped me kick off the 2020 Census Initiative back in 2018. While it is no secret that Abney has placed its trust in some of the most dynamic women leaders in New York City, we are long overdue for recognizing Mary, Michelle, Jen, and Angela on the stage this evening. We are grateful that Michelle and Jen have continued their service as Abney on our board of directors, and Jen on the foundation board as well. And we are delighted to count among our fiercest supporters and steadfast friends, Mary and Angela, from whom I know we will continue to learn. And now it is my great honor to present the first award of the evening to Mary Holloway. Mary's influence can be seen in every single Abney campaign throughout the 1970s, 80s, and 90s. Initiatives such as New York, a great college town, and the evolution of the New York City Marathon have left unforgettable legacies on the city. Her wit and charm flowed effortlessly, just as when she and Lou worked to gather the late-night television hosts at Gracie Mansion to encourage them to bolster and cheer the city in their monologues instead of disparaging our ever-evolving town. From creating a city for all seasons, to leading the politeness campaign to encourage New Yorkers to be more courteous to each other, her light has always shone brightly for our city. And just as she created video postcard love letters of those to New York City, we hope this video will serve as our postcard and our note of sincere gratitude to Mary. Congratulations, Mary, and thank you.
Thank you, Melba. I'm Mary Holloway. I served as executive director from 1976 to 2002. Abny did many things to make New York City better during my tenure. For example, we got New Yorkers to buy police vests, which led to the founding of the Police Foundation. When the city could not make its payroll, we got the biggest property taxpayers to pay their taxes early, and it saved the city from default 4 times. We started the Power Breakfast after President Ford told New York City to drop dead. The Abny launched many ad campaigns to promote New York City, including the Big Apple campaign, and those gold apples that you're probably wearing. New York is a really great college town. New York, a city for all seasons. And an award-winning video which was shown on incoming flights called New York, a Really Great City. New York, Abny also created host committees for 2 Democratic conventions, the Grammy Awards, and the Conference of Mayors. We helped create and support new business improvement districts. We helped launch Colin Powell's America's Promise, and we started the Abny Foundation. It was an incredible 26 years.
It was incredible to hear from the great Mary Holloway about her work here at Abny. But for one of these determined women, the journey has come full circle. When Michelle Adams established the Spirit of Abny Awards in 2007, I'm not sure if she ever thought she would one day be the recipient of an Apple Award, but I'm sure there are many watching tonight who did. Michelle taught us about the special sauce, Abny's role as a convener, a place where people from all industries, all backgrounds, and of all opinions can come together to listen and learn from each other. She made sure to carry on the ideals of the Ruden family, the ideals of collaboration, civic service, city over self, and the ever-brazen check your agenda at the door. Michelle and Chair Bill Ruden led this organization with the tenacity necessary to set the tone for the city's recovery in the early 2000s through the turn of the new decade. Michelle, you are the true embodiment of the Abny ethos. It is my great honor to present you with the 2021 Spirit of Abny Award. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Michelle Adams, and I had the honor and privilege of serving as Abny's second executive director many, many years ago. As Abny turns 50, and coincidentally, I also turned 50 in 2022, it's the perfect time to stop, to reflect, to admire, and to move forward. I want to recognize an amazing group of women that you are hearing from tonight. Mary Holloway, who set the stage for Abny's success. She and her team, including Maggie Brown and Joanne Police, just to name a few, so capably formed Abny with the late, great Louis Ruden, and really led the way for the rest of us to follow. And then there was Jen Hensley, and then Angela Sung Pinsky, and now Melva Miller and her team. They all just inspire me with their energy, enthusiasm, and their terrific ideas and willingness to always pitch in. Because at the core, that is what Abny is about. Pitching in, helping out, lending a hand, offering up ideas and time and energy to one great cause, New York City. I was hired shortly after 9/11 when our city and our spirits were still smoldering. There was one person, however, that despite it all, despite everything that happened, all the pain, all the loss, and for him, it was real and it was deep. There was one person who knew we would all be okay, who knew that our spirits would lift, who knew our city would lift, and that was Bill Ruden. Because Abny is more than organization, more than a group of people. It's a mantra. It's a spirit. It's the Ruden way. Give back. Support each other. Check your agendas at the door and focus on one thing and one thing only. Keeping New York as the capital of the world. Bill and the entire Ruden family, which I won't name because I'm sure Bill will be naming everyone during his remarks, are quite simply remarkable. They led and they lead by example. And I'm just so blessed to have been a part of all of that. And we are fortunate that Abny is now in such great hands, both with Melva and with Stephen Rubinstein. Stephen, both you and Howard had a hand in hiring me at Abny, so I will always be grateful. Grateful to you both. So while we lost a lot of giants along the way in these past 50 years, Abny endures. Because our great city endures. And much of that is because of each and every one of you, all of you together. Because you support Abny. And together, we all support our city. So for all of this, I am humbly grateful, and I thank you for this terrific honor.
Michelle, thank you again for leading Abny into a new chapter during your tenure. And now, I am pleased to present our next Spirit of Abny Award to my friend, Jen Hensley. A native Californian, but to me, a stellar representative of my home borough of Queens, she stepped into the role as executive director following in the footsteps of our previous honorees, but in no time built a legacy in her own right. She continued in the tradition of hosting power breakfasts and influential events to serve our members, and she kept her finger on the pulse of the business community, working to evolve the organization to better serve the needs of all industries, and importantly, focusing on policies to make New York a haven for talent and keep our competitiveness in attracting a modern workforce. She partnered with Bill in the days following Superstorm Sandy and once again support and lifted up Lower Manhattan. And she kept Abny on the path forward, planning for resiliency and sustainability, knowing that the best for our city was yet to come. Always working to bridge the public and private sectors. Jen continues to serve as an ambassador for Abny and for the city that we love. Jen, congratulations on receiving this Spirit of Abny Award this evening. Thank you.
It's hard for me to put into words what Abny has meant and continues to mean to me. The best way I can say it is transformational. It started with my interview for the job back in 2010 when I walked into the conference room at the end of the hall at Ruden Management, where Stephen Rubinstein, Steve Spinola, Jeff Wilpon, Jay Kriegel, and of course Bill Ruden were all holding court, not intimidating at all. Bill opened with a question about whether I would recommend Abny respond to the governor's recent budget announcement. With as much confidence as I could muster, I said, yes, it's important to go on record. But before I could finish my sentence, Spinola interjects, she's right. Then Jay countered, no, she's not. And they proceeded to argue the finer points of Bill's apparently provocative question for the next several minutes, back and forth, getting louder and louder, until Stephen Rubinstein broke in, guys, let's hear what Jen has to say. Bill cautioned, see, this is what you're going to have to deal with if you get this job. He was right, of course, and that was the great challenge and tremendous joy of my job as executive director over the next 5 years. I love knowing, growing, and serving the membership and advocating on behalf of the city that has become my home. Bill was a master chair, and every moment I was with him, I was learning how to be a steward of this city. His family, Ophelia, Samantha, Michael, and then David, Sabrina, the kids, grew with me and supported me in every way, and I cannot thank them enough. The staff at Ruden Management, Vicky, Loy, were true partners who I'm endlessly grateful for. And at Abny, Ruth, Eftahia, Amanda made hard things easier, and we created lasting friendships. The board was so helpful to me, including Bob Lehrman, whose commitment to Abney is unmatched, and Francis Rashevsky, whose quiet leadership has left an indelible mark on our organization. And of course, my fellow honorees. Michelle, you paved the way for me and then gave me space, which I know was not always easy. Angela, picking up the baton and moving the organization forward. Thank you. And finally, to Smilva and Stephen, your leadership and energy is giving Abney another dimension of life. Like our town, as Lou would have said, Abney continues to evolve and grow, but with the same spirit of integrity, grit, and love that our founders started with 50 years ago. Thanks to everyone in this room for being part of that spirit and for being here tonight to celebrate this transformational institution called Abney. It's impacted my life in ways beyond measure, and I will be forever grateful to all of you for what it has given me. Thank you and good night.
Jen, thank you for all that you continue to do for our organization and for New York. Now, after Jen came my predecessor, the smart, extremely capable civic servant, Angela Sung Pinsky. Angela always shared the vision that all New Yorkers deserve the ability to thrive in this great melting pot. She believes in New York City as a destination for businesses, for workers, and for visitors. And she knows the 5 boroughs are a point of great pride for the 8 million residents who call it home. She elevated the structure of Abney as a premier place for civic conversations, and she expanded on the ideals, building upon Jen's legacy to grow the Abney Young Professionals and expanding upon it and establishing Abney Women. She took her wealth of knowledge of the city and how it works and brought a keen sensibility to the executive director position, helping usher in a new era of leadership for our organization. Together with Stephen Rubinstein, she focused on confronting the pressing issues we face today: responsible growth and economic development, voter education and participation in the democratic process, and quality of life to ensure a better New York for all New Yorkers. Angela, thank you for supporting me in my first role here at Abney as the head of our 2020 Census Initiative. We are grateful for your foresight and for the groundwork you laid for this organization to rise in this challenging moment. Congratulations, and thank you again, Angela.
Happy anniversary, Abney, and congratulations for 50 years. Thank you so much for including me in this celebration. As I reflect on 50 years of Abney, there are so many things that I'm personally grateful for and so many people I'm grateful to. I'm grateful to have been entrusted with the role of executive director. I'm grateful that it allowed me to work with an incredible community of civically minded companies, organizations, and individuals. I'm grateful to have had a role where every day my charge was to see how that wonderful community could work together on issues that make this great city I love even better. And I'm grateful to be associated with the legacy of this storied institution and its founder, Lou Rudin. I'm also grateful to certain people, including the entirety of the Ruden family, who were all so amazingly supportive and involved. In particular, Abney and Abney Foundation Board Chair Bill Ruden, Abney YP Chair Michael Ruden, and Abney Women's Chair Samantha Ruden. I'm grateful to Abney and the Abney Foundation Board, the Advisory Committee, the YP members, the Abney Women members, our inspiring speakers, and of course, the fantastic team that made coming to work every day fun, even when that day started at 5 a.m. And I'm grateful to Stephen Rubinstein and Melvin Miller, and I wish them luck as they take Abney into its second 50 years. Congratulations to the other executive directors honored tonight, as well as the other honorees, and thank you all for letting me be part of this Abney family.
Hi, my name is Greg Bishop, a proud board member of the Association for a Better New York, and I'm here to wish Abney a happy birthday. It's so important for organizations like Abney to be present in New York City, to advocate for a better New York, to focus on economic development, economic mobility, workforce, and all the necessary issues that make New York City a terrific place. Abney has been at the forefront and will continue to be at the forefront. So, on behalf of myself and on behalf of New Yorkers, I just want to thank Abney for doing all the great work that you've done over the years.
I'm Alan Van Capel, the President and CEO of Educational Alliance and the Treasurer of the Association for a Better New York. Happy anniversary, Abny. E.B. White said that New York was to the nation what the church spire is to the village, a visible symbol of aspiration and of hope. And that only happens because of organizations like Abny, an organization that is able to put together a multi-sector approach to solving some of this city's toughest challenges. You put together corporate leaders, nonprofit, labor, and foundation in the same room, and you get us to work together. Thank you for all you do, and here's to another 50 years.
I remember when, in the early 90s, David Dinkins introduced me to Lou Ruden, who he described as a man who loved New York City, probably more than anyone else alive. And that's certainly true. And I know that looking down on New York from where he is today, he will see that New York is resilient and that in the hands of strong leaders, Billy Ruden and certainly Steve Rubinstein, that with a union of the public and private sector, New York will rise again, as it has before. Take care and happy 50th anniversary, Abny.
For over 50 years, Abny has forged relationships with hundreds of leaders from government, business, philanthropy, and community-based organizations that make up the fabric of this city. Together, we work every day to make our city a better place to live, work, and visit, a mission that is especially critical in this moment as we envision and rebuild a city that's stronger and more vibrant than ever. Here's a message of thanks from leaders from across our city, put together by videographer Sylvester Lukashewicz and story artist Yael Friedman.
There's a saying, which is the Lou Ruden way. That's really true. The core of that is caring for each other in a respectful way, listening to individual opinions, whether they're aligned with what you think or not. It's providing the forum, big, small, one-on-one, to hear what the issues are and then how to tackle the problems together.
We just had a really good sense of what was right and wrong and what was fair in the world. Early on, we learned about philanthropy. We taught that to our kids and the importance of giving back.
Well, Howard was someone who not only could read the public and have a very good idea of how situations would unfold, but he really had the ability to get the ear of just about everybody.
A lot of the credit goes to Lou Ruden and his brother Jack. When New York was in trouble, they really rallied together to say, we have to be behind the recovery of New York. And they kept it going to be a positive force, not just in recovery, but in moving issues of importance to the city forward at all levels. And we're really in the forefront of partnerships long before partnerships were in vogue.
New York has changed for the better because of Abny. I'm very pleased to be a small part of it. Most impressive thing about Abny over these many years has been its consistency. Always there, always looking for solutions rather than trying to stir the waters.
I think Abny is unique right now because we're not trying to just be for a single community. We're trying to be as broad a community as possible. That's a place that creates consensus. And in a moment where people mostly scream on Twitter, we're trying to be a group that brings people together, that keeps them informed, and that has them inform their networks in a way that's meaningful.
We keep our eye on the ball. and focus and bring the right people to the table and have the conversation and come up with the ideas that will help strengthen our city during any crisis. And that's, I think, always been a key part of Abny's mission.
And it's just extraordinary that within this pluralistic world, we also have this tribalism. And I think one of the things that Abny does well, and really, especially now, really devote itself to, is how those two can work together. And to me, that's the excitement of cities. And it's the excitement particularly of New York, which is the preeminent city.
No matter our differences, we're unified by our desire to see our hometown succeed. Every time New York has been at a series of crossroads, facing existential challenges, Abny's always been there.
New York has been through many, many crises over its history, and each time it has been able to be resilient enough to come back stronger than before the crisis. And in order to make sure that we do that again this time, we all have to work together. And there are a few places where that type of conversation can happen, and Abny is one of them.
Our city was already hurting in the darkest days, and when Lewis died, it just compounded that. And, you know, there were a lot of people in town that said, how could anybody fill Lou Rudin's shoes? And, you know, Bill did it, and Bill did it greater and better than anybody ever thought he could.
Lou had great family values, and he had Billy. And Billy just stepped up and filled the void left by Lou almost seamlessly and effortlessly.
Once a year he'd say, should we keep this going? And everybody would say, sure. And then that was the end. I mean, we just did. We just kept going. And there really was the feeling of the I love New York. And how can I help New York?
I think my father's priority in his stewardship of Abny was to, continue building upon the legacy of his father and continue to make sure that New York City was the greatest that it could be, and ensuring that it didn't matter whether, you're a Republican or a Democrat or whatever, political affiliation, doesn't matter what industry or sector you're in, nonprofit, business, labor, to continue sort of reaching across the standard party lines to make sure that people come together and effectively discuss and plan, how we make sure that, the city is a great place for everybody and can effectively move forward all together.
Going back to 1978, when I went to the first meeting, it was just like a place to assemble. It was a kind of a networking organization, which is great. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think over the years, it became really more of like an advisory group that people would come and try out their ideas and hear what the responses were. That's what it was for me.
I think Abny's role in 2008, we dusted ourselves off and got back on the saddle and worked together to find solutions to make sure that our city could recover. And I'll never forget Mayor Michael Bloomberg did an incredible speech talking about the aftermath of 2008 and what he believed would be a very strong recovery, which he turned out to be 1,000% correct.
You just have to have the courage of your convictions and the belief that we can get there and understand, what does New York have?
Bill decided that we had to figure out a way to give back to communities and reward communities that were doing great things on their own and not having the kind of help or funding that would take them to the next level. And that's what we do at the Abny Foundation. We help organizing groups, we help advocacy groups, people that are working in the trenches and helping organizations that really contribute to the betterment of New York, to the fabric of New York, and recognizing how important all of these organizations, when you tie it all together, we're one community of 8 million people.
I think would be remiss also if we didn't acknowledge the tremendous leadership of Samantha and Michael Ruden, who really have taken the helm.
Samantha's vision was about high quality conversation, high quality experience, and fostering conversations for professional women. For a lot of industries, despite our best efforts and despite the times that we live in, are still dominated by men, and that can be a very isolating experience. Working with the young professionals was my favorite part of Abny. We had exceeded all of our hopes and dreams about creating a community where anybody who was interested in civics would have a place to learn. It gave me a chance to meet a lot of what I am convinced are going to be the future leaders of New York.
In many ways, Abny has struck out in new directions and become more helpful in using its resources, not just as a cheerleader, but as an active participant.
Stephen has brought his fresh lens and view and has focused on the census, and I think also really brings intuitive, deep quality.
The future of New York really belongs to every New Yorker.
One of the things that Abny's always been criticized by and of is being Manhattan-centric, real estate-centric, and big business. And I think Stephen has taken that criticism very seriously.
Stephen has the creativity, has the articulate abilities to phrase our issues and problems, the knowledge of what the current climate and environment is in the city, the need, for example, for a focus on diversity and inclusiveness and inclusion.
Abny's been lucky to have wonderful leaders, executive directors to work alongside. The chairs, Michelle was a rock star, a relentless grower of Abny's mission. Jen Hensley, same, pushed us towards the tech community and appreciating its value amongst many other things. And Angela, like a super wonky, brilliant person who understands the city, all in different ways, on top of the original Mary Holloway who had the job, got us to stay relevant at times where the organization was always needed to change. We were lucky to get Melva to be our first CEO. She's a force of nature, and I think her passion and her respect for people and her desire to grow Abny and help us grow our diversity and reach into different communities has really been essential for us.
I'm excited and humbled to continue the tradition that began with Lou, Jack, and Howard, and now under the stewardship of Stephen, and this long line of formidable women, the executive directors of Abny, who have gone on and continued as leaders and innovators here in New York. In the wake of the fiscal crisis of the 1970s, 9/11 and Lou's passing, the 2008 crisis, Superstorm Sandy, and the COVID crisis, Abny has served as a unifying voice and an extended family, and an environment where members can reach across the aisles and experiences, plan in the face of crisis, and have important and necessary conversations. Through Bill's and Stephen's leadership, along with the Abny Foundation, the boards, the steering committee, and our member organizations, Abny has broadened the umbrella to truly reflect the needs of all New Yorkers, beyond Manhattan, beyond real estate, beyond certain unions and nonprofits, to all boroughs and all residents. Moving forward with a new membership structure, the Abny Young Professionals, Abny Women, and our targeted projects in the many communities of New York City, we will have the diversity and energy Abny needs to match what this dynamic city demands to ensure its future is what we want and need it to be. And as we look ahead to the next 50 years, this is the mandate that will ensure a meaningful momentum for Abny and for its role in the city of New York. Happy 50th anniversary, Abny.
My father always said, the city's been really good to us and gave our family a lot, and you should give back to it.
It was this time last year when we lost a living legend. Howard Rubinstein was as New York as they come. The firm he started at his parents' kitchen table in Brooklyn grew to represent some of the most important institutions in our city, from the New York Yankees to the New York Philharmonic to the New York Post. And as tough and savvy as Howard was, he always started with one simple premise: what's the right thing to do? At Abny, we knew him best as a co-founder of our organization who helped bring people together and pull New York City out of the financial crisis. We are thankful for Howard's long and good life. And as his son Stephen takes the family company and Abny to new heights, we know Howard is looking down at us smiling. We miss you, Howard.
It is now my pleasure to present the Spirit of Abny Award to this year's recipient, my friend and our former chairman, Bill Ruden. We are presenting this award tonight in memory of his father, one of Abny's founders, an amazing New Yorker, and our first chairman of Abny, Louis Ruden. Lou was also a dear friend of my dad's, and I knew Lou growing up. He was a legend that all our city looked up to. He was a leader who was there for our city during our darkest days when he rallied the business community to save New York City from bankruptcy during the fiscal crisis. From that crisis, our Abny was born. He was instrumental in helping bring the U.S. Tennis Association to Queens. He helped make the I Love New York slogan famous. I often feel like all of us are just coloring between the lines of civic engagement that were really laid down by the late, great Louis Ruden. Certainly, he passed that same civic spirit along to his son, Bill, who we honor here tonight. In the weeks and months after 9/11, Bill was a rock for our city, fighting for rebuilding money to being a booster for a new vision of downtown. Bill was the right person of the moment. A decade later, following Superstorm Sandy, he organized war rooms out of his offices on Park Avenue to help communities and companies disrupted by the storm find temporary space. But it wasn't all crisis. Bill has vision. He brought the nascent tech community here to Abny, infusing us with new ideas and giving young business leaders a platform and a voice. Heck, Bill made it safe not to wear a tie to Abny. Kinda. We're so lucky to have Bill part of the Abny family. He is truly the spiritual center of our community. And that is because, chairman or not, he is always there for New York. He never stopped fighting for our city and for our neighborhoods. Like so many in our community, he is a public servant, a man with a mission to help our great city. Thank you, Bill. Thank you for all you and your family do for Abny and for the city you love. It is my honor to present you with this year's Spirit of Abny Award.
Good evening. My name is Bill Ruden. I am the former chair of the Association for a Better New York, and it is my pleasure to get, along with my late father, Lou, who along with Howard Rubinstein and many others came up with this incredible idea to bring people together, business, labor, non-for-profits, to help save the city during the darkest days in the early 70s, mid 70s. And today, under the incredible leadership of Stephen, we are continuing the legacy that our fathers handed off to us to make New York City a better place to live, work, and visit. So very proud to get this award, and congratulations to all the other honorees. And again, thank you, Stephen, for your incredible leadership.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Larry Scott Blackman, and I wish Abny a happy 50th anniversary, wishing you 50 more. I can tell you that my favorite Abny moment is when I was able to secure my own table of 10 for the first time. I thought I was, King Abny for that morning. But in all seriousness, thank you for what you do. Thank you to the leadership of Abny. You guys rock. You're phenomenal. Love working with you. Cheers to 50, and here's to 50 more.
Hi, this is Jill Sum for Abacus Bank. I wanted to wish Abny a very happy 50th anniversary. I am so proud to be part of Abny's team, and I can't wait to see 50 plus more years of Abny and all the good work it's doing to make New York City a better and stronger place for everybody.
On behalf of the USTA Billie Jean King National Tennis Center, I want to wish our friends at the Association for a Better New York a very happy 50th anniversary. The USTA will never lose sight of the fact that 43 years ago, when we needed to find a new home for the US Open, it was Lou Ruden and Abny that stepped up to find us our spectacular home in Flushing Meadows, Corona Park. And now today, the US Open is the largest annually attended sporting event in the world, and our public programs run 11 months a year. Happy anniversary and thank you.
I'm Bill Thompson, Chairperson of the City University of New York's Board of Trustees, and it is my honor to present this Lou Ruden Founders Award from Abny to my friend, the Chancellor of the Cuny system, Felix Matos Rodriguez. Congratulations, fellow. Abny was founded decades ago by Lou Ruden and other leaders of the city of New York. Lou was its first chair. But the premise then was to identify the problems and to get things done, to find solutions. And that's what Abny has done for decades. It's brought together leaders from across the city of New York to work on those problems together, to hear from the leaders of New York at its forums, and then to come up with common solutions. I was honored to be one of those speakers over the years, and it's a memory I'll always treasure. Lou Ruden, Mr. New York, was a doer. He was somebody who believed in New York City, who believed in our future, who loved the city, and who got things done. So many of the things we can look at today, Lou Ruden helped to start decades ago. Felix Matos Rodriguez, Chancellor of Cuny, is a leader in that tradition. He's working hard to identify problems. He came in during the pandemic or just before the pandemic and helped to lead us through those most difficult times. He's working to forge new relationships with the business community so that a CUNY education almost means that you'll get a good paying job. And he's worked hard to be able to identify student internships for our young people. He is truly deserving of this award. So, my friend, congratulations on this Lou Ruden Founders Award. It means that much more is expected of you in the future if you're going to live up to Lou Ruden's name and his honor.
Good evening. Buenas noches. I'm so delighted to be here celebrating Abny's 50th anniversary. Thank you to Chair Bill Thompson for that kind introduction, and thank you for his support. It is indeed a great privilege to be receiving the Lou Ruden's Founders Award tonight. I want to give my thanks and gratitude to Abny's chair, Stephen, my dear friend, and the COO, Melba Miller. Did I mention that she's a three-time CUNY graduate? Thank you for all you do for the city. Thank you for all you've done through the years to support the City University of New York. To all the honorees, my congratulations, especially to mi hermano, Tonio Burgos. I am humbled to be in the company of so many accomplished New Yorkers. Congratulations. Abny and CUNY are aligned in their mission to improve the quality of life for all New Yorkers. And that mission is particularly important now as we try to bring our city back from this terrible pandemic. And we'll do it by bringing people together. That was the spirit. That was the way that Lou Ruden showed us. And he would be here now doing the power breakfast, bringing leaders together, making sure everybody was at the table, committed with the same goal of improving the quality of life for all New Yorkers. So let's be inspired by that legacy. I am inspired, and it makes me be more committed than ever to working on behalf of our city, on behalf of the State University of New York. And I thank you for this great distinction. I take it as an acknowledgement of the work that we do in the City University of New York, and I'm honored to be serving in Abny's board. Buenas noches and congratulations again.
Hi, everybody. It's Senator Chuck Schumer, and it's my real pleasure to present the David N. Dinkins Lifetime Achievement Award to my good friend, Tonio Burgos. I've known Tonio for more years than either of us would care to admit. And during that time, I've come to know Tonio as a loyal friend, honest broker, and a trusted advisor, and above all else, a relentless cheerleader for New York. Back when I was a newly elected assemblyman in Albany, and Lou Ruden and Bob Tisch or in the early days of running Abny, a young Tony Burgos arrived on the scene as the right-hand man to then Secretary of State Mario Cuomo. Ever since then, Tonio has served in and around the highest echelons of our state and federal government, always making friends, winning over rivals, and solving big problems. Like the namesake of this award, the late Mayor David Dinkins, Tony has always recognized what makes New York strong is its gorgeous mosaic, from El Barrio in East Harlem to Jackson Heights in Flushing, Queens, to Brighton Beach in Brooklyn, to Arthur Avenue in the Bronx, and everywhere in between. Thank you, Tonio, dear Tony, for all the great work you've done on behalf of New York, the people of Puerto Rico, and the United States of America. Many, many more years of success.
First of all, I want to thank Abny for this amazing recognition and award, but it's an award that I accept for all of the people that I've worked with over the decades. But in particular, that this award is named after my good friend and mentor, David Dinkins, whom, like me, we were Democratic district leaders 100 years ago. And David, who epitomized the greatness of New York, together with Abny, that epitomized the greatness of New York. I wear this apple with great distinction because it talks about Abny. It says Abny. In the Big Apple, 1975, when I first heard of Abny, I was an assistant to then Secretary of State Mario Cuomo. We were in the middle of a fiscal crisis, and Abny showed amazing leadership. And there was Lou Ruden and Bob Tisch and David Rockefeller, and of course, David Dinkins. David Dinkins was a longtime supporter of Abny as a member of the borough president of the city of New York, as the mayor of the city of New York, and way before that, when he was city clerk and in other roles that he had in his beloved city of New York. And today I am honored to receive this award by a friend of many, many decades, my good friend Chuck Schumer, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer. How lucky we are in New York to have someone with his great experience leading the nation in the United States Senate. Chuck and I go back to when he was a member of the New York State Assembly, and I am so proud that this award is being given to me by him at this particular moment in time where he's playing such a crucial role, like Abny did, like David Dinkins did, to move our nation forward. So thank you, Senator Schumer, for awarding me this on behalf of Abny. Thank you, Abny, and your leadership for selecting me. And thank you to my brother and his beloved wife, Joyce, David Dinkins, who's up there, I'm sure, trying to marry somebody as his old role as city clerk, which he never gave up. He loved to be with people, and we all love being with him. Thank you, David Dinkins, for being Mr. New York.
Thank you so much for joining us here tonight, those attending our gala in person and those of you watching from home. I want to thank our honorees. I want to thank everybody who supports Abny, and I want to thank everyone who's here. Events like this, especially during COVID, take a lot of hard work. And before we go, I'd like to extend a special thank you to our amazing Abny staff who made tonight possible. Melvin Miller, Laura Colacuccio, Sarah Samuels, Madeline McCormick, and John Napisa. You guys are all amazing. Thank you. I want to thank everybody here for supporting Abny and the Abny Foundation. I want to thank you for your love and commitment to New York. I want to say everybody have a happy and a safe holiday, and we look forward to seeing you soon again in person in the new year. Thank you.